If you control the flow of information, the narrative, you control people's minds. When you control how people think, you control their actions and the country. This is how Google and big tech stole the elections. Were the elections stolen? Was there massive fraud for Google's purposes? Because Big Brother controls what we can and cannot say. The answer is, of course, niet, comrade, no. However, one thing I will say is that the laws leading up to the election were definitely changed, and this definitely had an impact on the vote, and perhaps, just perhaps, it might have contributed to some fallacious votes being counted. Of course, I completely denounce such ideas, Google, but I will call you out, Mr. Google, because Google, when Donald Trump was elected in 2016, Lord Sergey Brin went in front of his Google comrades and stated,
myself, as an immigrant and a refugee, I certainly find this election deeply offensive, and I know many of you do too. And I think it's a very stressful time, and it conflicts with many of our values.
Google responding to Breitbart posting this, saying, quote, at a regularly scheduled all-hands meeting, some Google employees and executives expressed their own personal views in the aftermath of a long and divisive election season. For over 20 years, every night Google has been able to freely express their opinions at these meetings. Nothing was said at that meeting or any other meeting to suggest that any political bias ever influences the way we build or operate our products.
This is how Google felt about it. And they went out of their way then to control the flow of information. If you've been looking at search, you will find left-wing sources at the very top of almost every search. This tilts the balance. If you are searching, for example, for Tucker Carlson on YouTube, not even just Google search, it extends to YouTube and Sean Hannity. Just go ahead, search for those. I made a video about this specifically regarding Tucker Carlson, and you will find left-wing sources at the top bashing Tucker Carlson. How could somebody who's neutral, who's searching for information, who's 13 of the first 15 hits that he can potentially generate for Google on YouTube is nothing but left-wing sources? And here's the interesting thing. Google controls, based on your geography, based on your search history, the results that are delivered. That is how technologically advanced they are. And the fact that you can go, somebody like me who is center or center-right, can look for Tucker Carlson and not be given what he's looking for, but given Vox, NBC, The Daily Show, CNN, everything that's going to decry Tucker Carlson as a broadcaster and as a human being rather than a mix of things, somebody saying he's very talented, this type of thing. Same thing with Sean Hannity. If you look for anything on the conservative side, you're going to find nothing but left-wing sources. This definitely alters the way that people perceive the world. And all you have to do is just tilt the election just a little bit, because historically American elections have been very, very close between Democrat, Republican. And if you just sway a few voters, this is why the media had non-stop lies regarding Donald Trump. As for an example, a lie, the Fine People hoax. It was a hoax that the media perpetrated upon the public. And they did it over and over again. In Donald Trump's own words, he said that there were fine people on both sides, and then immediately he dissociated those who were KKK members or neo-Nazis. But the media just went with it. And it was Biden's supposed reason for entering into the election, because he could not stand the fact that Donald Trump had said that. Lie, lie, lie. But it was perpetrated over and over again by the media to people who just don't have an interest or the time necessarily to find out what the truth is. And then because they have some trust of the media, when they're told a lie loud enough, often enough, eventually it becomes the truth. To paraphrase Adolf Hitler, because this is what Hitler's strategy was and how the Germans acted. And this is what the left does time and time again. So if you are looking for why the election got tilted, it was because of Google and social media, Twitter, Facebook, suppressing the Hunter Biden story. But Google is fully culpable because they were doing it for a long, long time, and it's being done absolutely intentionally. As Sergey Brin said, we are deeply offended by the election of Donald Trump, and it shows up in the search results. So Google, you are the biggest offender by your dishonest tilt of information and your inability to express both sides of the political spectrum. It is election interference. It is biased information. It is not unlike during the time of Hearst when he used to own all the media. And if you promised him something that he would want, he would write glowing reviews about you. I think this happened with Grover Cleveland. And the election is tilted one way by the media, and that is still going on today. And Google is the most powerful platform overall in the world. It's more powerful than Facebook. It's more powerful than Twitter. So yeah, if there was any type of election interference, and once again, my overlords at Google, I do not vouch for this being the case. In fact, I decry it. But if there was any, it was you guys. And I'd have to imagine that Sergey Brin played a part in it. Peace and blessings to everybody out there. Thumb up this video, turn that like button blue, and use DuckDuckGo. It goes against my Google shareholder interest, but screw it. Some things are more important than money. Peace out.